All right, Chris. Well, this is episode 18 of the Steadfast Podcast. We're in Matthew 14, and we're plugging along. You want to read it for us?
Yes. So Matthew 14, verses 13 through 21. It says, when Jesus heard about it, he withdrew from there by boat to a remote place to be alone. When the crowds heard this, they followed him on foot from the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a large crowd, had compassion on them, and healed their sick. When evening came, the disciples approached him and said, this place is deserted and is already late. Send the crowds away so that they can go into their villages and buy food for themselves. They don't need to go away, Jesus told them. You give them something to eat. But we only have 5 loaves and 2 fish here, they said to him. Bring them here to me, he said. Then he commanded the crowds to sit down on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed them. He broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. Everyone ate and was satisfied. They picked up 12 baskets full of leftover pieces. Now those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children.
You know what this story reminds me of? That feeling after you get back from like a long camp and the kid didn't call his mom to pick him up. Mm-hmm. And so you just want to go home, and you've been out for 5 days just going crazy. And then you got to wait an hour and a half for his mom to get there while everybody else is gone. It's just a little bit longer, a little more effort.
Or you come home to like a water leak.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that kind of stuff happens a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's exactly kind of what's going on for Jesus and the disciples. Mm-hmm. And we did a lot of parallel from Mark's, the way Mark told this story. And the context is the disciples had just gone out. Jesus sent them out to go do the work, send them out in pairs to go, give them the power over demons and, to heal and to do this, and send them out. Hey, look, I'm not giving you money or extra clothes or whatever. I will provide for you. I will take care of you. I will miraculously go before you, but you're going to be leaning on hospitality. There's going to be people who let you in, bring you in, feed you, all this and that. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, shake off the dust from your feet and go. And so they had been on this journey. They were all excited. They came back and they told Jesus all about it. And they're like, man, all this stuff happened. And Jesus is like, that is so cool. Guys, let's get away and let's go rest for a little while. So there's that part of the story. And then there's also Jesus, when he heard about it, and what it is John the Baptist dying. Or that at least that Herod thought he was John the Baptist. So there's a couple different, I guess, reasons they think Jesus could have been doing this. One is grief, which is valid. If he's thinking about that, how much before this did this happen, or he just heard, I don't know. 2, safety, like it's not yet my time, and he killed John the first time. He's going to want to kill John the Baptist risen from the dead, most likely, or whatever he thinks it is. Mm-hmm. Tormented man now, a guilty conscience, or he just needs to get away and be with the Father, which we see him do often. And so that's where Jesus is coming from. The disciples are feeling like they deserve their little vacation and their time away. And in a lot of ways, they do. I mean, Jesus says, let's get away. Like, don't keep grinding. Like, let's go relax and go spend some time away and whatever. And so having the people show up is met by 2 very different reactions. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. I mean, I could imagine. Even just the either perspective, either if it is the emotional thing, you could see that just weighing on everybody, because they're all part of the same movement. They're all doing that. They're all buddies, Obviously, Jesus related to John the Baptist, but that probably is ringing in the back of the disciples' ears. There's a lot going on, so you could see that the need for rest, even just the thought of it, probably made them feel a certain way.
Yep, for sure. And Jesus sees them, and the way John I mean, the way Mark says it is he sees him as a sheep without a shepherd.
Mm.
And in Matthew says he has compassion on him. Which I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I think at his most tired, or I wouldn't say most tired, but at a tired state, at least, I mean, he was getting away for a reason state.
Yeah.
He's moved by compassion and he sees them in their desperate position and intervenes in compassion for him. Mark says he taught them. Matthew, it says he healed them. It's safe to say he did both.
Yeah.
And
both are tiring.
Yeah. But both are life-changing for those who are open, for those who are recognize their need for a shepherd, a need for a touch.
Yeah.
And he met him, which is really cool.
Yeah, and you pointed out that this miracle is in all four Gospels.
Yeah. It's the first one recorded in all four.
I thought besides the resurrection, I thought it was
it might be the only one.
Yeah.
Is it?
I believe so.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Which shows the emphasis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, this is really important to understand the story, the context with the disciples of that. How do we know? Are we reading into it? Is the next story, when Jesus meets them on the sea, they are astonished because it says they didn't understand the loaves and fishes because they had hard hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they missed out on what was going on here. And so that's why their reaction to everything going on is against them. It's like ruining their day. It's like invading their space as opposed to an opportunity to see like one of the greatest miracles that was ever performed. That was something that was written in all four Gospels that has been talked about for thousands of years since. They couldn't see it because of their hard heart.
Yeah,
That's wild.
Isn't it because it's in all four, but then also, I mean, the symbol of the fish is the earliest. So before Christians were associating with the cross, which is now the largest, symbol of Christianity, it was the fish.
Yes.
And it was
right. And still is, you'll still see the Jesus fish.
Yeah. On bumper stick.
Less so.
Less so.
Yeah.
Now it's normally some Darwin thing,
Oh no. Like that was
that was.
Remember the Darwin fish eating the Jesus fish, or the Jesus fish eating the Darwin fish?
I saw the triple,
What was the triple?
The big fish swallowing the Darwin fish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know how there was a war going on.
There was a war. There was a cultural war of they were like decal or like, I don't know.
They're like raised.
Yeah, they were like metal. Yeah.
That was the C28 Christian bookstore era.
I never had one.
Yeah. But that was Christians identified first with this miracle.
Tons of symbols. Yeah, that point to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was, and really it's the Gospels here. I mean, this is the story of Jesus coming when not because it was convenient, not because it was easy, but because he was moved with compassion and looked at a lost people that were desperately needing healing and teaching of what life is. And so he intervened when it cost them everything, when it was beyond what he would experience on the cross was grueling and devastating in so many ways. But he endured the cross, despising the shame, because he was on mission for what had been started so many years ago of God's redeeming mankind and then restoring relationship with him and restoring partnership with him, which is what he's doing.
Yeah.
He taught his disciples to do what he was doing. He was doing it again here and they didn't see it.
Yeah.
But that's aside from...
Yeah. Or even the fact that God provides for the physical needs.
Right.
Because I think we even fall into this rut sometimes when we think about, that God only cares about certain things when they're
spiritual things,
the spiritual things or things that, really matter, and
like he's limited.
Yeah.
I can don't make sure you don't ask It's almost like the genie. You
Uh-huh.
get 3 wishes. Don't ask for a stupid
Don't
wish.
waste one.
Don't waste one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ask for like Chick-fil-A or something, you
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Not that it's
on a
not good
Sunday,
on a Sunday. That would be a miracle,
it would be.
but it'd also be violating his order.
But there, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing is that like you see here God demonstrating compassion
Mhm.
and that his heart is like melting when he sees the people and like the fact that he sees them without a shepherd and without protection without and that they have a real need and that he's he uses his rather than caring for his own, which is what we and I not to tangent on it, but I think this is one of the errors that we're seeing in the new wave of like self-care sort of stuff is that Jesus when he sees the crowd, he has compassion on them and it moves him to do something about it. And whereas maybe we've overcorrected where people were, they were only caring for other people and they weren't, in this context, Jesus also cares for his disciples. They're also sheep. But there's been this like maybe overcorrection where when you see somebody in need or like, no, it's,
It's my day off.
sorry, it has to be between these
Right.
hours. I think there's healthy boundaries that you do have to keep and that, especially when you have a family, they do have to be prioritized to a good
Yeah.
extent. But here we see that his heart was melting for them. And I think when that shift happens is probably when you're in the danger zone where your heart is like not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's those sort of things where like, I can't, sorry, I have to tend to my family right now. And Paul talks about the priorities that we have. But then our hearts should still be broken and compassionate for those people. There shouldn't be like a sorry, we don't care about you, because even we see Jesus at the extent of his human limitations here. He's gonna send his own disciples away so that he can spend time with the Father. To seems to maybe grieve, maybe recharge. We don't really know,
Right.
but we see him kind of running on what we would consider in the red essentially. But it never breaks his compassion,
Right.
which is where we try to keep the practices, but we don't have the compassion, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a hard balance.
Yeah.
I think maybe the generation before us like gloried in running in the red.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like almost a sign of piety or
Yeah.
like it's like self like flagellation, like,
Yeah.
look at I don't need any, whatever. But if you run in the red for a really long time, you're gonna ruin everyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not healthy, and it will come back to bite you in health, in relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
ultimately in your relationship with the Lord, because it's
Yeah.
actually rebellion.
Yeah.
You're never meant to be like that. Like it wasn't supposed to be like that
Mm-hmm.
all the time. The correction is never run in the red. If you're tired, like, then you're done. That's not how it works
Mm-hmm.
though, because we're called to take up our cross. We're called to
Mm-hmm.
die to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, did you think that would be comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that would be easy? Like, but I think there's ways of like, here's the thing, like they're gonna be able to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're still gonna get their time. Like, but is are my immediate like needs trumping what God is doing like in my midst? And
Mm-hmm.
am I willing to be interrupted from doing that? And um I found a lot of times I'm not expecting these kind of situations where you're like, I'm done, I had a long week, I had this or that, and then all of a sudden something, you like bring something up and you're like, I know I'm supposed to
Yeah.
engage.
Yeah.
And I know it's actually gonna,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like a lot of times even like you'll find out someone's in the hospital or somebody's like dying, and it's like after the most grueling week or day or
Yeah.
something, and you're like, it's 11 at night, go,
Yeah.
just go. Like, and it actually, what's wild is when you do it in not in a weird way, it recharges you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a beauty of that. Like God carries you in that season. Because he's calling you to a really direct, immediate need. Now, again, when you're on vacation, I think like a lot of pastors, they'll be like still answering their phone and going
Yeah.
to these.
No.
No, you need to actually take a full on break.
Yeah.
There's other people to cover that. You're not God. That's the other thing. And that's good for everyone to know. I'm not God. Don't expect me to be the one that shows up for everything. There's other people that are going to do that. But, and this one, the pitfalls of like kind of the celebrity type pastors is they no longer allow any kind of interruption in any way, because they don't get called when someone's in the hospital unless it's like a family member or something like that. And so, it's there's a beauty in this, and we get to see it. Like God shows up, God comes through, and a lot of the times when you least want to do it are the most effective like seasons you'll see, and so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I one of the things is really helpful for me, the idea of having margin,
Right.
because
Live with margin.
live with margin. Yeah, because the idea is like there always is time for every person where you're gonna have to push to, like, there's a deadline or something of that nature. You didn't anticipate for it. Somebody got sick, or those sort of things. And when there's margin that's built into your life, you're able to do that without exhausting and destroying so many beautiful things in your life. I mean, you think about like the parable of the Good Samaritan, and by a lot of the overcorrection that we typically see, if somebody was taking on this whole like, that's not my problem, that's it's somebody else's problem, that Good Samaritan wouldn't have been the Good Samaritan. He would have just been the boundaried Samaritan or whatever.
Right.
Not, and I'm not speaking against boundaries, because I think that there's a really helpful thing to learn there. But there is an overcorrection that you do see, and that's what we're talking about.
Right.
And but the Good Samaritan knew that it was his time to give above and beyond. But the idea is that we're not doing that out of obligation. We do that because we know how much Christ loves us. We know the compassion that he gave to us, and how we see in these stories, or in the story of Jesus looking at the crowd, when he sees them, his heart breaks, and he's like, man, what can we do for them? That's where it needs to come out of.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it really helps to see yourself in the story.
Yeah.
Like, what would I want in that season? Like, and you can think back on times in your life that people showed up for you when it was really bad, like really bad situations, really hard things, and you do not forget those things, and you don't credit that person, you credit God.
Yeah,
like you think very highly of that person, but you go, God used you in that season. And I remember I had a friend whose son was extremely sick. Like, they didn't know if he was going to make it or not. He was like 4 years old, and he'd come from really Pentecostal background, and he was just like, I mean, I don't know if he even believed you should be sick. I don't know, but it changed his theology forever, by the way, this whole thing, I think. But he's like, God, where are you in this? And I remember him saying years later at a camp, he's like, it was in my friends showing up and bringing us meals and toys for him, and taking care of this and taking care of that. I mean, it was like, that is where it was. That was God using these kind of people in my life. And so, like, as much as he goes, yeah, that's a good friend. No, it's more than that. It's God meeting me through, through his people, through his body, the church.
Yeah.
It's Christ leading the body to do what they're supposed to do. But if we don't have any, like you said, margin or room for anything like that. So the way that works though with margin is like you find rest somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta, I use the example on Sunday. We've been like working really hard on our like yard, because it's big project, and it's like one of those things where you're like, you get into it and you're like, this is not going anywhere anytime fast, but we're like going, and everyone's helping, and all of a sudden it's me and Cannon, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's keep going. Let's do one more, and I had so many one mores for him, and I'm like, I'm going to break his spirit, as he really soldiered on. I was super proud of him. He's like, anything else? And I'd be like, what if we just did this? And I kind of see him be a little bummed, but he would do it, and we're like, let's just keep going. But what was lying at the end of that was, bro, we're going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get a 3x3, and your cousins are coming into town tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, like, don't you find pride in seeing like the yard look good? Don't you feel like you did? And he's like, no, not really. Which is
Fair
that's
enough.
okay, fair enough. He's like, I know, I don't really care. I'm like, all right, cool. You're doing it anyway. That's cool. You're not really seemingly getting anything out of it, but the rest you get at the end of it, and the food, there's like feasting and fasting and work and rest, and all of those are like tied up in this weird little yard project where that food has never tasted any better. And we all slept so well that night. We did what we were supposed to do. And then the next day you had way less to do. And it was like, we're done. We don't have to do it tomorrow again. We're done. So, or he's done anyway. I still have more to do.
You still got it on
but
plate.
It was kind of cool. Like, like when you teach something and an example comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like, the rest is coming. Like, don't worry about it. Don't freak out that you didn't get it at this second. That is actually pinging you on how much you're self-centered, how much you think, and it's not on him, it's on me. I mean, I'm like that too, where it's like, all right, finally I'm gonna get a chance to like be alone and rest, and then all of a sudden, boom, something comes in the door or a call or something, and you're like, this was when I was supposed to get, and you're like, okay, how do I handle this? And if you handle it well, it's like, all right, man, that was not a negative for me at all. It was a positive. And you know what? I'll rest tomorrow. I'll find that same time tomorrow and whatever. And so, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's the thing I am always trying to think through is how do I, because I once heard it that, those distractions, that those things that you don't typically anticipate are typically where God is actually moving you.
Right.
Like those are the things he's calling you to focus on. But, if you live or if you work in an environment, or you live in an environment where there's tons of distractions, then you have to prioritize.
Right.
And that's not I think some people tend to feel guilty about that because especially, people that are in ministry, because everybody's story is like, you do have a heart of compassion, but then there's a level of priority that you have to give to certain things. But I think the thing that I've been working through is like, how do I run at a pace where, because like, I'm mapping out my pace and I'm like, oh, this is good. But I find out it's a little too fast because things do come up.
Right.
And so then I'm like, okay, I have to, I hear Brad talk about this with his, like, he's running, like he's always like, I need to be at this certain pace so I can go this far. And, he's evaluating all those things. That's the idea of the Christian faith. How do I run at a pace where I can lead well, I can care for my neighbor, where, if somebody needs help with something, it's not like I'll get you, maybe I can squeeze you in 2 months, or maybe I'll just take some sleep away.
Right.
How do I situate my life in a way where I can go above and beyond, where I can, and I don't know if you've been in those seasons where I'm going too fast, I can't even see people's needs.
Right.
I'm just focused on the goal or the objective.
Getting things done.
Yeah. I had a buddy and he where the volunteer trash pickup service on the side of the road where people go, like a company will adopt a highway or something. And he was a manager and they had a 1 mile strip that they always did every year. And in ambition, he was like, let's take the next mile. But the next mile never had anybody adopt it. And, just driving by really fast on the freeway, he couldn't see all the trash. And so when they adopted the second mile, they did the first one, yearly maintenance, much faster. But the new one, he couldn't see all the things, and they ended up spending hours more doing an additional stretch because it hadn't been maintained. But the speed that he was going at on the freeway, he wasn't able to see all those things. And I think that's the idea of the scenic route. We
were talking about Coast Highway today.
Yeah,
you don't try Coast Highway to go as fast as you can.
No,
you cruise.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think that's one of the coolest things about moving to Carlsbad. It's one of those built-in, not only is there the beach right there, everything's beautiful, but you have to go slow. And it's almost like, how God establishes this on the seventh day you rest, the Sabbath.
Yeah.
It's almost like we have that built into even our environment here
Mm-hmm.
in Carlsbad. We're like, all right, well, I'm going to the village. All right, well, I'm going to take the coast, and I'm going to go slow. It's going to take me a couple minutes more. I'm going to roll down the windows. I'm going to take some deep breaths. I'm going to just glorify God. And for that 4 minutes, it's like almost a mini reset.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not wasted. The
No,
time wasn't wasted. It was
no,
actually, you got more out of it than you,
yeah,
yeah.
but it is inconvenient
Mm-hmm.
to because the freeway is faster,
Yeah.
and if I every time I can, I try to. And there's, obviously this is a tiny thing compared to like real, bigger things in life, but
Yeah.
I think it's a small example
For sure.
of what Sabbath is.
Yeah.
It's like I am purposefully building a rhythm where I will stop and glorify God with my family, and it's good stuff.
And yet, and yet we're running a race.
Yep, and
Like,
we're running. Yep.
I had a friend, I think maybe I've talked about it on one of the episodes a while back, but who was a pro road cyclist, like racer, and he was sponsored by Specialized and really, really, really fast. And he got me into it, into riding, and helped me kind of get my foot in the door. And we used to do rides to like Sereno Valley all the time, that area, and then we would go. One time we rode all the way to PB and back, which is pretty far. And he would always talk to me about how you only have so many matches to burn, like, and once they're gone, they're gone. It was part of like something you'd learn in racing, which is basically redlining. You only have so many of them, and so when you're climbing, you can burn a match climbing because it's especially like Torrey Pines and stuff. Like there's some big hills in San Diego, and it's like the inside of Torrey Pines is really steep, and I felt myself like kind of like burning a match. And and he's like, you've got to learn how to find a pace where you can sustain so you don't burn all your matches, because once you run out of matches, you bonk. And pro racers, every racer has experienced that at some point, where because of maybe there's more hills than you thought, or it's hotter, or your nutrition's not right, or your training wasn't right, where you just bonk. And I never understood exactly what that meant until I did. And we were riding back, and I remember in full on bonking, and like maybe Cardiff or Encinitas or something, where it wasn't even hilly, but all of a sudden my legs felt like they weighed like 100 pounds each. And I'm like, I have like 5 or 6 more miles to go, and I am cramping on every time my leg goes down, I cramp, and every time it comes up, I cramp. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like I felt like walking the rest of the way, but even that your legs just felt like you have nothing left. Yep. And I realized I had burned all my matches, and most of them were stupid reasons. I could have spun up that, drop a lower gear, don't try and jam up it, spin it, like just survive the climb, just keep going, And I realized all the matches that I burned 20 miles ago, I wished I had them back. And I didn't know when my last one would be gone. I thought I'd have more, because a lot of times you recover, you can burn through it. It kind of hurts, but all right, I'm now on the other side, I'm good again. But then all of a sudden that last one hits, and your body's like, we're done. And it's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
A terrible feeling. And so I think that there's some degree of that where you go, yeah, that's margin. Save up the fact that, you know what, you might be asked to do something a little bit gnarly right now, and you got to be prepared to do it. So don't live in the red when you don't need to.
Yeah.
And then when there's a season of going into the red, that's great, but now you're gonna have to recover after that at some point. Because Jesus certainly rested. He certainly did spend time alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he slept really hard. I mean, he slept through a storm.
Yeah.
A boat that everyone thought they were going to die during. That's substantial.
Yeah. That's like a good little nap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is interesting because, so I think sometimes, when we're smarter, we'll plan like, oh, I need to get to here, and you'll kind of, chart your course, but you don't know about all the other things.
Right.
And those things require matches as well.
Right.
And so it's, and I think that's one of the beautiful benefits of the Sabbath, is that there's these benchmarks weekly resets because I think we have a tendency, we just don't know the future.
Yeah.
And in our prideful arrogance as humans, we try to take on the place of God a little too much.
Right.
And I mean, James talks about like not even to say, I'm going to go here and do that, because you're supposed to say, if the Lord wills.
Right.
It's the same idea of like, if we're constantly holding it, where like God can do whatever He wants with my schedule, with the pace of life, with those different things. He can do it. And I think it's a practice. It's an art form.
Yeah.
And requires constant assessment and a constant communication, even like with your spouse. That's a thing. I've had those conversations where I'm like, hey, the next 2 weeks are gonna be kind of crazy,
Right.
but then we're gonna
rest after.
We need to rest.
That's
after.
Even at the church, we try to do that, like where it's like, hey, that was a lot. Take a day, like, you know what I mean, like recover, take two, do this or whatever. It's like, it's so that there's gonna be times where we're going really hard, and then there's gonna be times where it's like, yeah, you don't need to go as hard today. You can chill out. Is there always more stuff to do? Oh yeah. There's always more ideas. There's always a million things you could do, but like a lot of those things aren't the main thing. What you find the main thing is in those seasons, those stretches where you go or you don't. But yeah, God is the one that's in charge, because you might have, tomorrow is going to be my most productive day. I'm going to get a bunch of stuff done. You wake up with a stomach flu. You're doing nothing.
Yep.
You're done, dude. Like, you are done. And
well, I think it is God. God does that too. The nation of Israel didn't take their Sabbath for 490 years, and so for 70 years they were in Babylon. That idea. I know people don't like to think of it. I have a friend, he had the same thing. He was just running at a ragged pace, and then he broke his ankle.
Yep.
Couldn't do it. Like, he couldn't do anything. And then in those moments, he felt like God was slowing him down, like Jacob in his hip socket.
Right.
There's something to it. That's like, there's
good luck being so mischievous and shifty when you can't maneuver anymore. Yeah.
Good luck with the double legs.
Or even Paul. I think Paul was a highly driven type A crazy person. And he's like, this thorn in the flesh is really going to help you out. And Paul saw it that way. My grace is sufficient for you. He's like, hey, if that helps me out from being, keep me from being exalted beyond measure, your own tendencies, like, and
I saw
fall on the rock and be broken, or have the rock fall on you and be crushed.
That's crazy.
Right? Like,
yeah. I saw something I've been like mulling on. It's like a little inspirational quote. But they said, just because you're not doing everything you can doesn't mean you're not doing enough.
Right.
And I think because there's just something about the mission of God, about parenting, about really every area of life. You're thinking, man, I could be doing this, this, and that. And it's there's something humbling about accepting the fact that like you're not supposed to do it all.
Well, and part of that is like with the internet, social media, because you're seeing everything everybody's doing. Like, well, we could do that, we could do that, we could do that, and it's like, that's how you end up being like a Tom's Burgers versus an In-N-Out.
Yeah,
like you have everything on the menu you could possibly imagine.
Yeah,
but none of it's that good.
Yeah,
it's kind of like it fills you up a little bit, but or you can go to In-N-Out where they have like almost nothing on the menu, and the line is wrapped around the corner at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
Because you know who you are and what you're supposed to do, and you just do that, like you just do it well.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's a real issue, because you feel people bring it to you, you see it, and you feel like, oh, we should be doing that, we should be doing this, or we should be doing that. It's like, no, that's not my thing to do. I'm not called to do that. This is what we're called to do. This is our place,
Yeah.
And so even our family, it's like, do this with your kids, do that with your kids. It's like, you will be broke and you will never have a night off if you do all the things that you think you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, usually you find out like couple months ago, they started hating all of it.
Yeah.
Because they'd rather just hang out, have like a game night at home with you or something, Yeah.
Yeah. There's, there's, I guess, a little bit of a hot take, but there's, when you study some missionaries, there's some missionaries that are known for their achievements, but when you dig into their stories, they're like it's the last person you'd want to emulate.
No, that's absolutely true.
And
Like leaving their families behind,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
And you know, and it's what's crazy is that I
What is
understand.
success?
Yeah,
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 is that really success?
yeah.
Yeah,
No, that really is the, you know, because I think that the idea of kingdom, obviously Matthew is all about that. The idea of kingdom is like we get to be in the presence of God everywhere we go, and we get to partner with Him in His mission, and that happens. Happens when you're changing a diaper in the middle of the night, and that happens when you're preaching the gospel on a
right,
street corner. That's the thing about the kingdom. You know, you get to be a part of what God is doing because He is inside of you.
right.
He is working and moving inside of you. But I think maybe it's, you know, daddy issues or what, you know, but we have these tendencies where like, man, I need to be doing more. I need to accomplish this. I need to be successful. And those are things that the world is preaching, not Jesus. Jesus's message here, he's looking and he's like, man, they're like sheep without a shepherd. He looks at them and has compassion, and then sits them down, gives them a meal, starts teaching, heals them. You know, there's like I don't know, it's an interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember being in a missions class and people kind of be like, "Oh, I love this missionary." I'm like, I think I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to name names,
Yeah,
but there's multiple guys you grow up hearing about, and you're like looking at, you're like, am I reading that right? Like, yeah,
I think he should be the guy he shouldn't be.
Bible's pretty clear about like your home and the way you treat your like
Yeah,
your
or some of
wife
them,
and your kids, and
you know, or they'll have multiple, not at the same time, but they'll have multiple wives because their wife will like die because they didn't have what
take
they
care of
needed
them.
or taken
Yeah,
care of, or
yeah, yeah.
and then they'll just get married to another one, and I don't know. Anyway, it's kind of a niche hot
That's
take, I
neither
guess.
here nor there.
Yes,
But
but to some degree, you see Christian families doing that
yeah,
often. It's like it's worth noting, and
yeah,
I do think that's why there is a necessary like response where people are, okay, let's take care of my soul. Let's focus on rest. Let's develop some healthy rhythms. You see a ton of that, and I think that is a good thing. But then, like we always do, we go too far sometimes.
yeah.
And so just finding that the healthy balance where when the work comes out of the joy that we have, when the work comes out of the peace that we feel in the presence of God, that is a good thing.
I think it's the like you're like lamb before the slaughter,
Mm.
but you're more than conquerors.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's that dichotomy. It's like we said this a couple weeks ago, but take up your cross and follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Like deny yourself. Like, that's such a gnarly claim. But my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Like
Yeah.
right afterwards, that's what it is. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's gonna take more of you. It's gonna mean like dying to yourself. It's gonna mean all these different things. But it actually is gonna. My yoke is gonna be easy. My burden is gonna be light.
Yeah.
Even the martyrs you see,
Mm-hmm.
like Stephen, it seemed like his yoke was easy and his burden was light.
Yeah.
Like even in that, like not to say it wasn't insane and grueling and there hasn't been horrific, like there's a degree of God's sustenance
Mm-hmm.
in it all.
Yeah.
So not to belittle it or make it sound like it's easy, but like he's there.
Yeah.
So, because your yoke, it's who you're connected to,
Mm-hmm.
because he's doing it, So, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else that maybe like we didn't really get to it or anything less?
I don't think so. I mean, I think one of the things I really love is the 12 baskets
Mm-hmm.
left over. Like you couldn't have filled 12 baskets with what you started with,
Mm-hmm.
but now everyone's satisfied and there's overflow. And I think of, if you look at it from like the gospel perspective, it's like exceedingly abundantly above all we could ask or think. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's the unsearchable riches of Christ, like the abundance. I like thinking about the abundance because a lot of times we think, especially as Christians, we don't want to be like wasteful and we don't want to be like extravagant, but to some degree it's like God is extravagant
Mm-hmm.
and not wasteful, but he's extravagant and he shows I can do whatever I want and I can
Mm-hmm.
I didn't just give you barely enough. I give you more than enough.
Yeah.
And I will, and that is that's who I am. Like, so I didn't just meet you with, all right, guys, everybody gets like a little bit and that'll hold you over till you can go get your own food.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone ate, was satisfied, 12 baskets left over as a witness. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. They're probably, when they're on the water, they're probably hanging out with
The
they
leftovers.
probably have the leftovers there.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Like,
like,
what is
dude, we're
this?
going to eat for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. Or isn't it right after this, when they get to, they're hungry again
You're right.
and then he tells them,
On the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right.
Until next time.
Till next time.